Adrenaline in my soul. Rocky stole my spot on the biggest show of the year. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Down Under the Ring, episode 27. Usually I have a big sprawl about what we're going to talk about. So what do you want to talk about? We're not going to do that this week because, Phid, how are you feeling?
Mate, in 2008, I came back to wrestling as a fan. I rediscovered pro wrestling. I hadn't been a fan for a while. I, had kids, focusing on feeding the family, going to work. My son discovers pro wrestling. I become a pro wrestling fan again, and pro wrestling was that place for the last 20 years or whatever it's been. That has been where I go to relax, unwind, turn my brain off for a couple of hours and chill. When did pro wrestling become stressful?
I thought you were doing the CM Punk promo. I thought you were going to talk about when you left and when you came back to pro wrestling.
No, but the thing is, these last few weeks, being a wrestling fan has been stressful.
It's kind of sucked.
I get up every morning and I'm like, open up Twitter, what's gone wrong?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Or,
it's fires all the time.
And it's behind the scenes, stressful. And now, watching pro wrestling, you think you're getting what you want, but nope. What the hell?
So there's so many things to cover over since the last time we spoke.
That's how I feel, by the way.
Yeah, lots. And to justify the feelings with it all, man, we have to talk about it. So last week, we didn't talk about Vince McMahon. And that's a very firm stance we've taken, and that's fair. This week, however, we have to talk about the new head of the table. We really do, because what we saw on SmackDown last week changed everything again. We've been talking about this for months now, about how the wrestling world is so much more exciting. There's so many things happening. It's like you don't know who's going to do it. You don't know who's going to be where, who's going to be here, who's going to be there, who's going to be at WrestleMania. Is it going to be Seth? Is it going to be Cody? Is it going to be LA Knight? Yeah. Who's it going to be? CM Punk? No. And that sucks. And unfortunately, it's kind of been the catalyst for the week we've had this week. For those who don't know, CM Punk out with a tricep injury for 4 to 6 months. I have a feeling it'll be a lot quicker, just based on everything that we kind of know about wrestling this week. But in the stead of that, because of everything that's happened, the current new big dog, in WWE, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, has rallied the troops. And said, guys...
Has he rallied the troops? He's rallied the troop.
He's rallied the troops in the board and said, hey, guys, we don't have CM Punk, which means we can't do CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. We've got Cody Rhodes versus Roman, but there's no more marquee. You know what the marquee is. And guys, I want to say in the boardroom, finally, I want to be at WrestleMania's main event against Roman Reigns.
And this is all... I sent you a message a couple of days ago. This is all Jungle Boy's fault.
Far out, Jungle Boy.
And let me justify this, right? It's like, if Jungle Boy hadn't have done that bullshit at all in, Punk wouldn't have left. If Punk hadn't have left, right? Punk leaves, goes to WWE, right? Goes to WWE, has a banger of a Royal Rumble, injures himself. This bullshit happens. It's all Jungle Boy's fault. He's my scapegoat.
So are you telling me that if Jungle Boy never used real glass, then
this wouldn't have happened? None of this would have happened.
It would have been Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins this year at WrestleMania?
No.
Okay. But then what about The Rock? This is the problem.
It may have been. I don't know.
Look, okay, so
I just want to blame Jungle Boy for everything.
A lot of the discourse we've got over wrestling this past week has been a mixture of We Want Cody, which by the way trended #1 worldwide for like 20-something hours. Over the Grammys, a week away from the NFL Super Bowl. #1 in the world for like 20-something hours. Now, That's crazy. But when you look at the whole picture, the big picture of everything here, one of the things that they've been saying is you guys wanted The Rock versus Roman Reigns last year. And
Correct.
now it's this year. So surely with everything that's going on, you want The Rock versus Roman Reigns now.
The thing is, I want, and this is my first reaction that I sent to you after SmackDown was I was torn because I want Rock versus Roman. I want that to happen. It was always going to be the inevitable finish for the story that they've been telling for the last 3 or so years. Is the inevitable end was going to be, and we've said it on this show numerous times, is the inevitable end as The Rock comes in, does the whole I'm the real head of the table. Let's
Give me
get
the
it on.
Ulafala.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was always the inevitable end. I want that match. I do want that match. But the problem is, WWE has told me that I also want the story to end.
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones who got us all rallied and ready for this fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones that have told a brilliant story with Cody. They've also told a brilliant story with the Bloodline. And they're the ones that have cocked it all up at the end. It's a shame because I do want both.
So history,
but how can you do that?
Repeating itself because, and I'm not going for the low hanging fruit. I'm not going for the CM Punk thing about The Rock screwing CM Punk out of the WrestleMania main event and now doing it again with Cody. That's well documented.
Although we have got a great TikTok on our account and on our Instagram.
You should go look at that. It's fantastic. But last year, do you remember who got screwed over first?
Who did get screwed over first?
Who had the biggest story of the Bloodline?
Oh, Sammy.
And who was pushed aside?
Sammy.
Sammy, to me, is the it factor here that something else could happen. Because
they're sort of preparing us for that as well. I don't know if you watched all of Raw or not, but there was the little interview segment there that, he's not happy either.
Yeah. So I look at this right now as an opportunity. Like, I'm pissed off like everyone else, right? I saw the tweet about 42 minutes after it came out from Cody today that said, I love the passion, but trust in me. So, and that came out from Cody. Cody does not mess with the crowd's emotions. That's one thing we know about Cody. If Cody's mad about something... Good guy, Cody. Cody will always tell, always let y'all know, always let all of us know, like, what the real skinny is on the situation, yeah?
Absolutely.
So, knowing that where we're going right now looks like Rock versus Roman Reigns doesn't necessarily mean that that's it, yeah? Like...
Well... Yeah, commentary made sure they doubled down this week on Raw. And look, dude, let's jump straight to Raw, actually, right? Because by now, anybody who's listened to this podcast already knows exactly what has gone down, right?
Yeah.
Firstly, on Raw, I think the entire first segment was brilliant.
Yeah.
They cut super close to having McIntyre almost accidentally be a face in this. Because he came out and he was just saying everything that we've been saying, right? He addressed...
Oh, but in such a dickhead way, though.
Oh, but even still, I was going... I was driving while that part was on.
Yeah.
So wasn't watching the screen, just listening to it. But everything McIntyre was saying, I was like this. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yes. And I was like, oh, you're cutting pretty close. And if it wasn't for that... him knocking the shit out of... old mate at the end, Seth at the end, I would have been like, he's turning face. But I'm Team Drew right now.
We're still so in the middle right now of unpredictability, yeah? Because the reality is that everyone's like, oh, it's The Rock versus Roman. You want to hear a horrible horrible, angry rant, which is actually fantastic. Go listen to Busted Open and hear Dave LaGreca do that after this podcast, of course.
Yeah,
But
Dave
man,
this morning was passionate.
you want to hear passion out of a person who loves wrestling? That's where you want to be.
He is the biggest Cody mark on the planet, right?
Yeah.
He's the biggest fan in the world when it comes to Cody, especially in our world of podcasting and stuff like that. And but I was listening to that and I was just like, dude, you are all of us right now.
Yeah, look, like I hear that the what's it called, the LaGreca's laminated list thing is going to be like a Cody Rhodes rally now as well. So yeah, look, the thing is that we're in an uncertain time, and yes, we're told nothing really. If we look at it, we're not actually told at all that it's going to be The Rock versus Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Right
and
now.
Commentary kept on reminding us for the entire episode of Raw today that everyone's getting angry over something that hasn't been confirmed yet.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I'm sure that they've got the right people in their heads telling them that too. So we don't have that yet. Now, what if The Rock says no?
What do you mean? If The
Well,
Rock
because
says
he
no?
said, I've taken special counsel with Rock, and he knows you really well. I'm not going to be wrestling you at WrestleMania. What I feel is happening right now is I feel like they are trying to recreate what they did with Daniel Bryan when he was in the company to create a pretend version of the organic face energy that they had with the Yes movement. What I think this is a red herring. What I think is leading towards is Cody still getting the match at Mania, but every single person in the building pissed off with The Rock, pissed off with Roman Reigns, and what I would not be surprised to see would be a heel turn for The Rock before WrestleMania to align himself with his family. Oh, yeah.
After this
all.
weekend, he is a heel. But that could be turned around. Look, that is a very genuine possibility. My thing is, I've listened to everybody else's pitches as to where they think it should go, how they can fix it. I've heard everybody's thing. I've thought about a million different scenarios myself. And, dude, it still comes down to what we've said a few times. And it's Rock comes out and says, this isn't about the title. I don't want the title. The only title I care about is head of the table. Cody, if you want that belt, Night 1 is still available. I'm now a board member. I can make that happen.
What
and that's
if
the only thing that I think makes sense at this point.
Who's the mastermind? The wise man. What if at the press conference it comes down to The Rock and Roman? What if Roman takes the Ulafala off and gives it to The Rock?
Hands it over.
What if he says, you're right. You are the head of the table. I don't want to wrestle you at WrestleMania. I want you to be in my corner.
I like that.
Because then you have Cody, you have Sammy. There's a big situation here which you can turn it around with, right? It's definitely possible. But what does The Rock talk about more than anything else other than mana and tequila?
And
money. It's family is the answer to the question.
Yeah,
it's
it's family.
always very, very family centric. Look at all the shit he does with like his mum buying houses and cars and all that kind of stuff. Very family centric, very family focused. I think that there's a situation where the wise man could convince Roman to give the belt, no, not the belt, but give the title to him.
Yeah.
And then where does that leave Cody? That leaves Cody as a man who said, hey, I'll step aside for you because you want it. But then in that moment, The Rock turns, you have your WrestleMania match still on.
Look, do you know what I like the most about this idea? Is I haven't heard anyone else say this. I've heard a million different ideas, and I have not heard this one. I have heard different theories that he could turn heel. My only thing is, and it's been addressed by other people as well this week, is I say this week like it's been a week since SmackDown, but it's been like 3 days. Um, um, is he going to allow himself to do that when he's got such a carefully curated public image outside of wrestling?
That is the thing. But Dwayne's not here.
No, it's The Rock.
He just got the rights back to The Rock. And The Rock is a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
The Rock has always been a son of a bitch. I'm pretty sure I said this a couple of weeks ago. Corporation. Without Vince McMahon, The Rock could be the new Vince McMahon in an era where he's not working movies at the moment.
He's the only face of the corporation now.
Is he the only surviving member of the corporation other than like Shane? And
Well,
no,
I don't think we're going to see any McMahons on screen anytime soon.
Well, yeah, I said that last week as well. Like there are none now. So
yeah,
oh, I did see a thing
family
too.
are now the most powerful family in pro wrestling.
I saw a thing the other day as well that was talking about Brock Lesnar's daughter and Shane McMahon's son both now being kind of screwed, because of the legacy of what's happening here. Yeah, man. Like, okay, let's have a look. We got Vince McMahon, he's dead. Shane McMahon, he's gone. Big Boss Man, he's dead. The Rock, Ken Shamrock won't come back probably.
Nah.
Pat Patterson, gone. Briscoe's alive. But
very
there's
Vince
no
associated.
way. 400,000 years old anyway. Sergeant Slaughter, I don't count that as... I don't count, even though they were... That's not my corporation, like my corporation is a bit later on.
I can't remember Sarge even being in the corporation.
Test, sadly no longer with us. Kane, there was an offhang anyway. It wasn't really the thing.
And plus, he's busy.
China, no longer with us. Big Show, no longer with us because in AEW, and Triple H can't do anything anyway. Realistically speaking,
Rock is the only corporate member left.
The only member of the corporation who can do anything.
Yeah. Well, he's the only active one.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Could we see that? That's a possibility. Like, honestly, the bloodline becoming the most powerful thing, the most powerful thing in wrestling already is. That's kind of one of the only ways I can see it resolving. Because how do you go back on Cody's word? The problem with the promo is that Cody said, not this year.
Not at WrestleMania.
Like, that's the problem. Not at WrestleMania. I'm not doing this at that show.
Yeah.
That's the problem with the whole thing.
They have to backtrack. And I think as fans, we all ignore that he said that.
I mean...
It's not the first time we've been expected to ignore things that have happened on screen.
No, but at the same time, we're also smarter fans now than we were, right? Like, wrestling fans are smarter fans now. And I think that we have to, there's a point where you have to say, hang on, this is kind of not great. Like, because how I feel it went down originally was they probably thought the reaction would be different, right? But I also do think that maybe they didn't think that. I also think that maybe they thought all along, hey, this is going to cause the problems that we had with Daniel Bryan. This is going to cause that Batista Royal Rumble heat.
Yeah, and make him the biggest face in the company.
Because now if you pivot and put him in that spot...
He's a martyr now.
He's the biggest star in the fucking world if you do that. If you do that now, after he's been martyred by The Rock, you turn The Rock and Roman Reigns, by virtue, into the two biggest heels in the company. Cody becomes the biggest face of all time.
Absolutely.
And
then look, they were talking about how why don't they do Cody versus Roman in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
There's another match if we go down your storyline.
Yeah.
There's Rock versus Cody in Saudi Arabia.
Yep, exactly right. And now, because, you could still build... This is the thing, too. The beauty of the whole situation is if we do roll with my suggestion, WWE, call me, please. If we do roll with my situation that I've invented and own all rights and everything, too, I think what we could do is you could build to next year's Mania with The Rock.
Oh, absolutely.
So get through this. Drop the belt. put Cody in that spot as the biggest star in the universe,
Mhm.
and then the cracks completely break down. And then we have a year's build to that match.
Cody versus Rock.
Yep.
Yep. I have zero issues with that. And like I said, I think it's good because it's one I haven't heard yet. A lot of the ones where I've heard that Rock, people are dream booking Rock turning heel, have been ridiculously overcomplicated.
Mm-hmm. I don't think that's complicated at all.
No, that's not. And that's
this
the
is
brilliance
just the wise man came up with a plan.
Yep.
And that plan works.
Yep.
Because really, when does Paul Heyman fail?
Often? McGillicuddy.
Beulah. But often? No. You think about every time he's taken a situation. Think about when he turned on Lesnar and Big Show and joined Big Show. And then he, in the middle of turning on Lesnar and had the Big Show, turned on the Big Show and went to Kurt Angle, but still kept the Big Show on side. Like, this is a guy with historical purpose. Like, he doesn't make mistakes.
No,
and now,
when he does jump, he jumps across to a winner.
Well, he looks like an idiot if nothing happens here.
Yeah.
And he's never looks like an idiot. Like, not really. You know, aside from having like his hair cut and, you know, like he never looks stupid though because he always has a plan.
But the thing is, when he didn't have the haircut and he was starting to look stressed out, that's because the plan wasn't going to plan.
Exactly right. So I don't know, man. Like, I think that's the only way that we can salvage where we're at right now. I'm sure there are other ways. I'm sure people have presented them, but that's my elevator pitch.
Yeah, look, I'm still sticking to my one because I think it's the easiest way. But in saying that, they reckon they've got a plan.
Yep, they do. They said it. They said, stick with us. It's all good. Trust in us. It'll be fine.
But I think we are so accustomed to doing the trust the process. It's all going to turn out well, and they've cocked it up so many times in the past that we're gun shy at this point, right?
Okay, well, the Rumble just happened, and that made us all gun shy.
Well, I'd say the Rumble just happened and it made us confident.
Because I was a bit more gun shy.
The end of that Rumble, I was like, we're getting it, the story. They're doing it. Like, Triple H is giving us what we want. I was excited.
I mean, I saw the Rumble as almost like just functionary. You know, it had to happen that way, and it did happen that way. So looking at it now, like looking back, obviously, I hear rumors that the plan was always for Cody to win the Rumble, which I think it was. People have been arguing about it maybe being Punk and then being switched up with an Audible. I don't think that's the way it was at all.
No.
But I think that the Rumble's always been the biggest show for me, my favorite show aside from Mania. Like we've said previously, but it sort of felt like safe this year. Yeah. You know, really safe. Yeah.
We did say like most of that Rumble was a fairly boring Rumble.
Yeah.
The women's one was the exciting one because they didn't stay safe at all.
Yeah.
But the men's one, it was safe. But in saying that, we got the ending we wanted.
But nothing's safe now.
No. And saying, I did want to go back to something you said earlier. You were saying about how many people were tweeting, "We want Cody." Now, this is an interesting thing that not enough people are talking about at the moment. Is yesterday when "We Want Cody" was trending number one, "We Want Rock" was only 10,000 tweets behind it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was out of I think one was 170, one was 180,000.
The big stat is obviously the 600,000+ dislikes on the WWE video of The Rock's return. But we all know the internet. We all know wrestling fans. We all know that y'all like to get just a little bit jumpy, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
talking about jumpy, I had someone comment on our TikTok today, this morning where, and it was our TikTok about last week's issues, right?
Yeah.
And you can tell the dude saw what we'd written in our copy, which was, it's a hard week to be a wrestling fan at the moment.
Yeah.
He hadn't even watched the TikTok. He instantly goes, oh, these guys are bitching about Rock coming back. And he typed out the thing. I was like, bro, you didn't even watch that, did you?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, am I excited? If we get The Rock, hell yeah. Like,
Oh, exactly.
if the story doesn't finish the way we want it to, and we're left in this awkward shit feeling, I'm still going to pop like a motherfucker when you hear that If You Smell What The Rock Is Cooking at WrestleMania with Roman Reigns, and it might be a gas fest, it might not be. Man, it's still probably the biggest match ever, right?
Oh, look, with plenty of break holds, we're going to have Rock's going to do fine.
This is this generation's Hogan Rock.
Yeah.
So it's going to be an important match regardless of what happens.
Yeah.
So I think that we need to take everything on board that they've said about trusting in the situation. I think we need to take everything on board that we've said we've pitched here, because I think that that's very, very, very viable. And I think that we need to sort of just take a step back and say, we've got a lot of other people involved in this too. We've got Seth Rollins, we've got LA Knight, we've got AJ Styles, we've got Randy Orton. There are so many moving parts in this right now that we don't really know. And everything we do, especially as fans, is very knee-jerk, right? It's very like, oh, fuck The Rock. Puh, bitch, why is he here? He's ruining Cody's story, etc., etc. Do you really think that Papa Trips has sat down and said, all right, kid, listen up. Here's the deal. We want you to step aside. You know, do you honestly think that that's happened with any of the contract negotiations that how Cody has had? Like, do you think with all of the effort and money and everything else they put into Cody Rhodes that they're just going to fuck him at the finish line?
No.
I don't. I just can't.
No. There's too much money to be made out of merchandise sales by having Cody finish the story. He currently has potential to be bigger than Cena.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. No, I fully agree. And he's got more longevity ahead. Like, he's got a lot more years ahead if they push it the right way.
Oh, exactly. And that's for multiple reasons, right? One, I think he's a bit younger than Cena was when he peaked, but also he doesn't have the same travel schedule and work schedule and all that sort of thing as those guys.
Also physique. Like Cena has had the same consistent physique for years, and that takes a toll on your body. It probably would have taken 5-10 years off his career anyway.
Yeah.
Like because he's a big boy and he wrestles big, you know?
Yeah.
So Cody's not that. He's not like a big fat like Dusty Rhodes, but he's like got a workman's body, you know? Like he's not like, check out my 10-pack. He's like more along the lines of that Stone Cold Steve Austin. When you breathe out, you see abs. When you breathe in, you don't, kind of deal.
But I wouldn't give to have that body.
Right. That's actually always been my ideal. 250. That's like where Austin kind of sat, 235 to 250. That's the one that I always wanted to be. And we're getting there, and more on that at a later date. But we're getting there. I'm doing a lot of work right now. Although I think I tore part of my bicep yesterday, which sucks. I can't move my arm.
You and Punk both.
Look, maybe I did a tricep. Who knows? I can't tell at this point. So,
hey, talking about Punk, have you seen rumors and speculation at the moment is that they may be bringing Punk back for the next few months to work commentary?
I think that's a good idea.
I don't have a problem, man. Put him on a 3-man booth.
I think that I would be a little Samoa Joe cautious.
Yeah.
I think that if you're going to use Punk, because you know who's been fighting a lot lately?
Who's that?
Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce.
Mm-hmm.
You know who doesn't really do...
They're working towards something there.
I mean, I hope they have a Mania match. I really do. But
I don't think it'll be this Mania.
Next one, maybe?
Next one. I think
or
they need to build
SummerSlam.
that one up for a bit longer. It's the same as Nigel McGuinness at the moment on AEW. Like, he's doing a very slow burn to get to All In, but has been doing it for the last year.
But what about if the Heartbreak Kid stays behind the camera and CM Punk steps in front of the camera at NXT? I know Ava Rain's there now, but can you imagine those three in a back and forth?
I think it'd be brilliant. And look, it's going to do wonders for NXT, right? One,
Mm-hmm.
Punk clearly wants to be helping
Well, he's
out there.
already talked about that, like
Yeah,
he's already
he
mentioned
clearly
it.
wants to be helping out there. Utilize your time at the PC and helping the up and comers. That'd be dope. But also the ratings it would do for NXT
And
is
look, you know
huge.
what? Outside of that, the fucking dude, and I swore again, it's like 3. I think I've done my swear jar for the night. But the dude was throwing forearms with the tricep injury. He was
Yeah,
throwing forearms on the night. You cannot tell me that if he needs to, he won't get physical. He doesn't have to have matches, but
no,
I could see him cut promos, not the same bullshit ones he's been doing lately, but lead towards something over the next few months. Lead towards this program with Drew for SummerSlam.
yeah,
Start it like now,
yeah,
like, have Punk come out, get the better of Drew, and
yeah.
then like with one hand, and then man, can you imagine how you lord that over Drew McIntyre?
Mm,
He's like, I beat you up with one hand, and then you have Drew get all pissy about it. Another thing for him to complain about, like,
mm. And
and
saying that, while we're talking about Drew versus Seth at Mania, I want that.
But will we get it?
Oh, I hope we do. I hope that's where Seth ends up because I think Drew deserves that win. I think
Yeah.
it'll be hard for us to come out of Mania if he wins it and him not be a good guy. I think he can potentially do it though because he's working a brilliant asshole right now.
But is it too much of the same thing? We've seen the match.
Hmm.
We've seen what happens. Can we get a multi-man match for this WrestleMania and then put the women in the main event and then put, like, I don't know which women's match, probably Bayley's match because she won the Rumble. So have
Mm-hmm.
Bayley's match, main event, night 1. Open the show with a six-pack challenge, like I said last week. Get all the guys on there, get them that exposure that they need, and then have Drew win that.
Yeah. And saying that though, if we're going to have a women's main event, I want it to be Rhea. I
Yeah.
want Rhea in the main event.
But she didn't win WrestleMania, or she didn't win Rumble. That's the problem.
No, she didn't.
That's the
But
problem. If you're gonna piss on one Rumble win, you have to do something with the other one.
that's fair.
So,
It would be cool to see Bayley in the main event too.
oh yeah, absolutely. For all of the hard work and the deserving of that, I think that would be really, really good too.
Yeah.
I hesitate to think that the men's would be so low with everyone in it, but Seth's opened a lot of WrestleManias,
Mm.
and I can definitely see that happening. So
He's closed. He's probably done the best close of a WrestleMania too, to be honest.
that's the other issue as well, because do you have a 4-way and then a 5th one comes out afterwards?
Who knows? Who knows? Look, I think everything we're talking about at the moment, right? The interesting element of this is exactly what we were talking about leading into WrestleMania season. Is we don't get this problem that we've got right now without brilliant storytelling building into it.
No, we don't.
WWE has booked themselves into a corner because they've done so much good storytelling coming into this WrestleMania. The issue is they had to bring in that element that didn't need to be brought in at this stage.
Yeah.
If you hadn't have brought Rock in, we would be fine.
Yeah, but would we though? Because we've been complaining about this for weeks. Like, would it be fine now with what we know about the rest of the landscape? Like, how do you fix it before, and how do you fix it now? Those are the two questions we have to ask. So because before we didn't know what was going to happen at all in the build up to Mania.
No,
Like, we had ideas,
which was fine. It was good. I like not knowing.
Seth Punk, Cody Roman, that's fine. But now that it's after the fact of all of this is happening, we still don't really have a clue, So I don't know if it'd be much different if they didn't do this, because I think that we still wouldn't know.
Well, the only one we do know we're getting is Io and Bayley.
And the only thing we do know is that Cody doesn't want to wrestle at WrestleMania for some reason.
Yeah.
But we don't know why.
No.
Which, that's stupid
And
as well.
these are the two things that piss me off the most about this. Is one, he looks like an idiot because he's stepping aside and for an old timer to come in and take his spot. Because all of a sudden he's decided, no. Your family affairs are more important than my story that I've been trying to finish for the last 3 years, if not longer.
My family story isn't as important as yours.
Yeah, right. And then the other one is it's pissed all over the Royal Rumble. I feel sorry for anyone who lives in any of those regions that had to pay upfront cash for the Rumble. I'd be pissed if I was paying $30, $40 for that.
And you think about it too, because like this is dangerously close to tarnishing legacy of the Rumble, right?
Oh, look, we've had worse Rumbles. I think.
No, but it's
I
not
don't
about the
think we're
Rumble.
tarnishing the legacy.
It's about after the Rumble. It's when you win the Rumble, you get a shot at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
the
look,
rule.
I would say we've had worse situations. Right?
Oh, of course.
We've had worse situations where someone's about to sign the contract and someone comes in, super kicks somebody, and then signs the contract first.
Funnily enough, The Rock was responsible for one when him and the Big Show had their thing in 2000. So, yeah, I don't know. I worry about it, but I also am excited for it. So,
Yeah.
as much as I don't want to sound like just a wrestling guy on the internet, that's my problem with it is that I don't just want to be like, wow, The Rock, because we got to let him cook.
Yeah.
Well, that's really
I think this is a situation where at this point we do just have to let them cook. Clearly they're doing something. They were handing out "We Want Cody" signs to audience members as they entered the arena today.
Yep.
So they're leaning in. And I think it's exactly what we were talking about earlier. They're redoing the Yes movement. We're getting Cody Mania.
I think we're getting that. I do. I think we're getting Cody Mania. I think they're going to push him as the new Hulk Hogan,
Yeah.
I think that's where we're leading to. And whether or not it means he wins the belt later, I hope not. I really do hope that whatever they've got is still going to put him in that spot. But outside of that, I can't tell you. I don't want to see Roman wrestle twice on WrestleMania weekend, though.
Yeah. Look, this is what to all the people out there that have said this is going to end up being a triple threat, I posit you this. Have you ever fought a Polynesian before? I have. I grew up in New Zealand. I have had plenty of fights with Polynesians before. At no point have I gone, wait a minute, I want a second Polynesian in on this fight as well.
Yeah. I'd like to fight too, thank you.
Yeah. You know what? This fight's already hard.
Yeah.
Give me a second Polynesian and just kill me.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, this show is brought to you by OG Nerd. OG Nerd represents the gamers, the cosplayers, the collectors, the model makers, the tattooists, the artists, and the athletes. They are not just a clothing brand. They are a subculture. OG Nerd revel in their halcyon youth and embrace the lifestyle driven by nostalgia, humble beginnings, and heroes.
OG Nerd strives to offer quality, comfortable, and above all stylish streetwear apparel inspired by a lifetime of gaming, music, and street art. I've worked with OG Nerd for many years and find their apparel second to none in terms of quality and appearance. Whether it's at a wrestling show or a convention, you'll be hard-pressed to find a better armor for your rig. Get yours at ognerdlife.com.
This week's episode of Downunder The Ring is brought to you by wweshop.com. I'm still finding it hard to get used to saying that our show is brought to you by wweshop.com, but it is best place for you to get all your favorite merch. That's t-shirts, that's wrestling belts, that's toys, it's figures, it's everything you can think of.
Yes. And hey, right now, we've got a code for you. Special code just for y'all, just for listeners of the podcast. Code, what is it? GRUDE? G-RUDE? G-R-U-D-E. Buy more, save more with this code. It's going to be sweet. You're going to get yourself one of those WWE Jinder Mahal shirts. I've seen them going around at the moment. They're massive.
Don't hinder Jinder
on the front of it. It's the best. Get yourself that. use our link in the description. It supports us, yeah? Everything, anytime you get there, you get something from there. It helps podcasts. It's the easiest. It's the cheapest way. It's the free, pretty much. Well, not free. You pay for the shirt, whatever it is. But it's a super simple way to support what we do.
And that's the awesome part about this. Like, you're watching Raw, you see a T-shirt pop up, and you're like, hey, I want that shirt. Don't just go to www.shop.com. Go, I'm going to go support my mates at Downunder The Ring. I'm going to use their link. Come over to us. You click our link, and we get support from WWE, and you get a dope T-shirt, and you might even get a discount by using code GRUDE.
Grood. I am Grood. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's a Marvel thing. I don't know, man. We're pretty garbage at these ad reads. I'm sure we'll get better at them. Go to www.shop.com and use the gimmick in the description below.
All right, do we want to jump straight into pro Aussie wrestling now?
Let's do that.
All right. And now it's that time of the show where we love to support all the Australian independent promotions around the entire country. Kicking off with All-Star Pro Wrestling Australia. They've got the Brian Kendrick facing Orlando Jordan at their Survival of the Fittest event. That is February 17th at the Padstow RSL. The Sets Mildura, that is March the 2nd. And Adrenaline Professional Pro Wrestling, they've got Breakout 39. That's happening February 16th, and that is in Seaford.
Yes. And then we've got MCW Melbourne City Wrestling anniversary weekend, February 10th and 11th at the Thornbury Theatre. As well, WSW, the Most Wanted Tour, 28th of June until the 1st of July. It's got Brian Cage. It's got the former Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth. It's got Elias, Elia, Ezekiel, and all the other E family members there, I'm sure. Also has the Death Match King, Matt Cardona, on there too. Speaking of deathmatch,
I was going to say, and they're making more announcements every week, so
every single
heading
week.
along to that one.
And speaking of deathmatch, we've got Dude, Where's My Ring, February 23rd and 24th. Obviously, it's a massive weekend of wrestling. Go and support the homies. You will have a great time. On top of that, on the same night, we've got the EPW Aussie Wrestling Super Show, February 23rd at Willetton Stadium, featuring stars from all over Australia. If you want to see some stars of the future, that is the place to go. And then the big dog, WWE Elimination Chamber at Optus Stadium at Perth, February 21st, 2024. And hey, we've also got a match for you. It's a women's match to face Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. Also, I do think that they mentioned this week on Raw that Adam Pearce made it official that it's going to be Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax.
Which I did not realize until this week. Nia Jax was born in Australia.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so technically this is Aussie versus Aussie. I didn't realize either.
Hey, come on now. Hey. Not claiming that. No. That's unfair. That's chemical warfare, and I don't like it. All right, so this week's been a bit of a schmoz, as you guys can probably tell. We've had a lot to cover. It's a lot of stuff that we all already know and fear, and there's a lot happening in wrestling right now. We're still pretty uncertain about the future, but that kind of makes it good as well. I want to thank you guys for sticking with us on this, because wrestling is something we're all really passionate about. And hey, if we're really serious and honest with ourselves, this is the Renaissance. This is the best period of wrestling that we've been in, arguably since the Attitude Era. I don't think there's been much since then. What is it called? The Golden Era, the one with John Cena and Randy Orton. There's that one too, right? I think that's what it's called. But outside of that, like, we are in a real peak for wrestling. So do your best to be nice to each other. Do your best to support each other, because I remember being a kid growing up and being the only kid in school who liked wrestling. Right now, there's a kid like that. Right now, there's a kid somewhere in the world just like that, who is getting all of this controversy about Vince McMahon, about Brock Lesnar, about The Rock, seeing hashtags on X about "We want Cody." You know, there's a kid right now who's confused. There's a kid right now who is doubting love for this really special, really important thing that we all really treasure. So be nice to each other about it. Be safe, be sexy, and we'll see you down under the ring.